What's up? Dun 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 dun. What up? Hello. All right. And let me change the category on Twitch really quick. I think we're gonna do the old Dungeons and Dragons category. Hopefully that's not too loud. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. What's up? Hello. I don't know how many folks are here. Oh, my dog is here. Hello. Yeah, I don't know how many folks are here. And this one, I know that I'm gonna turn off the music. I know that this was not the most essentially advertised, but I kind of just wanted to put it out there naturally. I kind of knew that no matter what I did there, I just need to let people find out about it. Because so far, Dimension 20, or Dissecting 20, I should say, has been a totally, pre-recorded offline show. So, what? You might say, what is this? This is not offline, this is live. Which, if you don't know, is much closer to what I normally do. This is much closer to my normal Critical Eyes show. And I wanted to have what I'm currently calling a pre-show. I don't know what I'll end up long-term calling it. What's up, Daniel? But I wanted to have a sort of live, longer component to Dissecting 20 because there is just so much that I can't get to during the episode. There's so much. And I can, to a degree, talk back and forth in comments, but it's not only, we might say, inefficient, but it's also very, I don't know, it's very hard to read tone. What up, Chair Tickler? I know, the shock, the horror. A live stream from me? No. Guys. She does not want me to be live streaming right now. I'm going to have to put my back to her. Otherwise, she will just keep doing this for the entire stream. She will keep grabbing my arm like this. It's very cute, but it's very distracting. I'm sorry, girl. No, she looks so sad. But yeah, so I wanted to be able to talk about some of the comments that I haven't been able to kind of respond to or address, go more in detail on some of the theories and why I got to certain theories and why I didn't. I think next week's, like once people are kind of expecting it, it'll make a little bit more sense. They'll have a little bit more idea of like what this could be for. So this week, my main goal is to kind of go back through the comments of the first 3 episodes and just kind of talk about some of the comments that were left, maybe some things that kind of hit the cutting room floor in terms of the editing on the video. And this one that's about to come out today, episode 4, is the most, I would say, edited in terms of like cutting full like segments of content. Just because the episode 3, the time on it, it's very possible that the time didn't have a huge effect on it. But it seems to have. So unfortunately, we have to really focus on getting the time down, unfortunately. Dog petting stream will rake in the views, no doubt. No doubt, Jada. I agree. She is pretty cute, but she doesn't like streaming in general. She fucking hates when I'm in here, or recording for that matter. But let's see. So let me pull up. We'll start at episode 1. I feel like that's reasonable. So this is just kind of all of the comments. I didn't have any in particular that I wanted to go over. So just gonna kind of read through some of them, respond to some of them, especially like the longer ones with maybe disagreements on some of my takes. And that's honestly, I say disagreements on some of my takes kind of as a joke, but also that is the thing that feels like one of the most different, or partially the most different between Dissecting 20 and Critical Eyes, is I feel like I can't interact as easily or as well, I guess, with people of like that have dissenting opinions from me. Because I give a lot of, similar opinions in like a similar tone and format during Critical Eyes. But I'm also able to like go back and forth with chat to discuss those and like where some weaknesses might be, or where maybe I didn't say something exactly right, or where I'm just wrong. And I'm very excited to theoretically be able to do some of that here. And then after this, I have the episode 4 ready to release. And I also wanted to mention that. So this got released 2 days ago. And I need to I actually just made a new thumbnail for it that I need to upload. But this is the this is the extended cut. So there will be a extended cut for members that is just going to like include some extra segments essentially. So it'll still be edited in like the same style and the same way and like the same like ratio of like Fantasy High to me, I guess, as the normal cut. It's just that there are some segments of like things that I talked about or moments from the show that might not be quite as interesting as the rest. And those will get included in this extended members only cut. So we're not going to worry too much about the time on this one since it is members only. And so this will be, however long just like kind of makes sense, however long all the stuff is worth including. And then the actual main kind of public version will be, we're really going to try to stick to under an hour now. And no matter how much, stuff we have to cut for that, because around an hour was really successful with the first two, and the 2 hours was not successful at all with the third. So that, and again, there may be other factors to that. We're going to have to see, but that's kind of the going forward mentality. Also, this is open to, I only have one tier of member. It's $1 a month. So if you want access to that, it's $1. I would appreciate it. But also, you're not going to be, the only difference between the public and the members only cut is just kind of more of the same. So if you like the videos and you just kind of want more video for your video, then that'll be what the members only cut is. What's up, Taylor Sparrow? What up? What up? First time catching live. Hello. And this one, I will say immediately, this is the best introduction to Dimension 20, of course. I would love to see how you like some of the newer campaigns. They're quite different from CR, but I feel like you would really enjoy them. I'm almost certainly, I can't, guarantee this, but I very much see a world in which I am doing more Dimension 20 reactions or videos or something like that. I very much see that. Now the question will be, most of Dimension 20 is paywalled, so I will have to think about how to do that ethically. I already think that Dissecting 20 is like the Dissecting 20 Fantasy High is nearly impossible to watch, probably, if you haven't seen Fantasy High before, or if I guess you care about keeping up with the plot. So I think I'm not that far away from how I could maybe do something around like paywalled. But it would probably be a lot less reactions, right? Because I really wouldn't want to show basically any of it on screen unless I got like a big go ahead from like Dimension 20's legal team, which I probably honestly, with how much I've liked Fantasy High and with how much I've liked doing Dissecting 20, even though we're still kind of figuring out the format, with how much I've liked doing it, I'll probably email either Dimension 20 or just drop out generally and discuss what kind of formats they would be cool with. Who knows if they'll respond? I have been shocked with the level of people that have responded to me, and I've learned that I just need to reach out. Like, the amount of like influence or popularity or subscribers, it has no correlation with whether or not they'll respond. I have learned. Some people just do, and some people just don't. So I will probably reach out to them, and hopefully I'll be able to get some really good guidance on the types of fan content that they are cool with someone making. Because just like with Critical Role, with Dimension 20, I really respect the people that make this, and I only want to do it if they are... I only want to do something that they are cool with. Like, if Dimension 20 contacted me tomorrow and said, we don't fuck with Dissecting 20, like we don't fuck with it, we don't support it, whatever, I would take them all down immediately, which would be a big view hit, I will say. But that's kind of the ethos I'm operating under. Yeah. Is it the same root as Tyre? Oh, I see. Oh, I understand now. Yeah, not Tyre. Cool. Very neat. Take only clips drop out already feature on their shorts channel. That would probably be my first instinct, Jada. Would be me watch it and then do more of a like, not video essay, I wouldn't say, but like more of a like, record my reactions while I watch it, but not necessarily record the footage, not record the audio of what I'm watching, and then talk about it separately. And if there happens to be, a short that lines up with the thing I'm reacting to, then I can include that. It would probably be really similar to the current Dissecting 20. It would just be a lot less of the react side of things. Because the react side of things, while I know that it's what so many people are here for, and I totally get that and appreciate that, it's also the part that is the most open to people not fucking with it, like ethically, like it's the most open to the original artist not fucking with it, especially if the thing is paywalled. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I got a reply from one of the largest MTG people as a nobody once. Some people just reply to everything, some never reply. Exactly. I very much learned that with my Dragon Week. I was I shouldn't tell this anecdote. Oh man, I'll put it like this. I could tell this anecdote at some point in the future after it's been enough time, but it's too recent. Essentially, I was messaging someone huge, not realizing how big they were, because I was interfacing with like a less popular version of them, and I didn't know that there was any connection, essentially. And they were super sweet. Thank God I'm always nice. Like I don't fucking switch up based on clout, but it was we'll say a shock when I realized who I had been talking to. And like some of the shit I had said was probably sounded so strange. Because I was talking to them, kind of as if they're lesser influential or like less popular kind of persona or version. I was talking to them as if that was all that they did. And so it was probably so confusing to them, being like, do you not know what? But yeah, that person, I would have never, if I had known who they were, I would have never expected them to reply. Like, not even for a moment. But they did. Yeah. What's up, Vetnair? Hello. Pop in and say how much I've been enjoying the analysis in your vids. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Vetnair. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, yeah. You only knew them as like their fourth channel or something. Yeah, it's not that, but it is sort of the equivalent of that. I did not. People know them. I did not. So it's sort of the equivalent. Yeah, the oddity of a normal conversation. Yeah. A bit. Yeah. Anyways, so all that is to say, I want to do more Dimension 20 stuff. I just don't know the exact like form and factor it will take. Also, Exu Calamity, it gets recommended. I was about to say at least once a week. That's not fair. It's probably once a month. Exu Calamity is the thing I am most aware of that any actual play has ever done, and I almost try to not think about it anymore because I don't want to like build it up too much in my head. But everyone wants me to watch Calamity. It seems to be the most unambiguously beloved thing. Like I hear people debate, different Dimension 20 shows, Critical Role versus Dimension 20. Critical Role campaign 1, 2, 3. I hear people debate, this thing's bad, this thing's good. I like this thing, I don't like this thing. Everyone, the most negative opinion I've gotten of Calamity was it was really good. It just wasn't my favorite. That's the worst I've ever heard about Calamity. So it will absolutely be sometime in the future. Yeah. I want to wait until I can dedicate several nights in my week to it. I agree. I feel very similarly about how I want to do content about it. I think I want to do like a Calamity marathon over like a weekend. We're gonna see though. I don't know. For sure do the Brennan Exu trilogy. I don't even watch CR, but I got through the Brennan trilogy, no problem. Yeah. Which from my understanding, most Exu is meant to be kind of like, it builds out the world of Exandria Unlimited, but is like meant to be relatively standalone, which is also like just very separately exciting. Yeah. If efficient feels like too much of a slantwise compliment, that also goes hand in hand with how effective all of the scenes are. Yeah, and I've talked about I've used the term efficient quite often, and I think the only reason that I feel sort of slantwise about it is because it is so colloquially, how do I say it? It's so colloquially intertwined with the like concept of productivity and like the industrial engine, that it feels like I'm saying like, ooh, it's like a better product. It feels very like inartistic, which is not how I mean it. I mean it very positively in terms of its artistic impact. I think that Brennan's efficiency allows him to accomplish so much more art and like cool shit in a relatively, limited amount of time, because we all are limited in our time, not only on Earth, but more pertinently in a D&D session. So like being efficient in your storytelling, it's not 100% always the right way to go, but I think that there's a lot of positives there and a lot of things that a lot of DMs could do better. In that vein, myself very much included. I do really like the brevity of D20 and Exu series. I love CR, but my attention cannot do that much content. I get it. I very much get it. I mean, I'm not even through campaign 1 yet, and I've been watching for more than a year. Yeah. With your spoiler stance, I don't think Exu is standalone enough to be able to watch out of order unless you relax that. But for most people's standards, they are standalone, yes. Yeah. Which, I mean, after campaign 1, I'm going to have to analyze, and depending on whatever Critical Role does with their campaign 4, or, lack thereof, who knows, maybe they'll just do Exandria Unlimited only from now on, I don't know. Who knows what they're doing? I'm not following the news enough to know what Critical Role is even talking about doing. But once they officially announce that, and once campaign 1 finishes, I'll have to give a lot of thinking to my spoiler policy, how I want to go through the rest of the campaigns, all that sort of stuff. Formats might get changed around. We'll have to see. I'm wondering if maybe timestamps for scenes to be included for narrative relevance given to you ahead of the episodes would be helpful for the remainder. It's obviously very hard to keep that actually spoiler-free, but it might still be worth it because you can keep more of an eye out for the ways that Brennan manages to guide his players through a linear adventure. And it's funny. I said I could possibly see this happening for a future series, but likely not for this one. And I said I ultimately didn't want to bias myself towards the scenes. It's Mega from 2 months in the future. We're doing that. We're doing that. I relaxed my thought of biasing. We are doing just strictly time codes, like timestamps. No sort of information there. So they're not there's no description, there's no title on any of the timestamps. And it's partially for me to look ahead, but I'm not even going to look at them that hard. What they're really going to be there for, the main thing I would say is why can't I hide the chat message? There we go. Is for editing, because we've definitely cut out apparently several moments from Dissecting 20 that are recurring or that people really wanted to see my reaction to. So the timestamps are largely going to be kind of for that. And then I'll be able to talk during these live streams after I've already filmed, so that I'm still not biasing myself. After I've already filmed, I'll be able to talk about each of those moments. And I think it'll be really interesting to sort of compare my reaction after knowing that it is possibly an important moment or narratively relevant or what have you. It'll be interesting to look at some of my reactions during these, because that's also something I want to do in this, especially once we kind of are talking more specific to the previous episode. Right now I'm talking about episodes 1, 2, and 3, but theoretically, next pre-stream I'll just talk about 4, or I'll primarily talk about 4. And so for that, looking at the timestamps, looking at how I reacted to them on this could be very, very interesting, I think. Yeah. I feel like you could watch Calamity right after campaign 2, but not before that. I've heard a lot of people say very similar stuff. Yeah. There's a thread in the Discord. You mean about these timestamps? Yeah. There's a thread in the Discord, which is true. If you are watching and you want to contribute any moments during it that you really the primary way we're using this is what to be things to be included in the edit. That's the primary way we're using it. So I can't guarantee that I'll give a crazy analysis or reaction to any of the particular time codes. But I can guarantee that they'll be prioritized at the very least in the editing process. So if you have any moments like that, you want to give your opinion, join the Discord. I think it's in the description of this live stream. Here, let me confirm. Let me confirm, because I don't want to send you there. Oh, wait, this is on screen. I should do this off screen. There we go. Is the Discord in the description? Oh, it's not. I forgot. It's not in the description because there was a bot that was scraping descriptions and was like auto joining. So the recommendation was to take links like that, like join links out of your descriptions. I forgot about that. But what I can do is do !Discord in the chat. And there we go. Those are the links. Hopefully, did that wait, what? Mega has a Discord. That's the invite link. Did it double post all of that? It did double post all of that. Oh, because I sent the message to both Twitch and YouTube. Got it. Well, there's a lot of links in the chat. But yeah, if you want to join the Discord, participate in making your opinion heard in terms of timestamps for future episodes, join the Discord. It's a good time in there. But if you do it quickly, I could still get things to him probably. Yeah. For episode 5, yeah, especially. I have just started film. I normally do the filming in like 2 chunks. And I've got everything set up for the first chunk. I'm probably going to record it depending on how long stream tomorrow is, depending on how tired I am. I might record part 1 tomorrow. So yeah, still plenty of time. And then even more time, in terms of, again, what to prioritize during editing. I'd say in terms of prioritization in the edit, you probably have like a week and a half, I would say, before we can kind of stop making those big changes. Anyways, if you're interested, maybe not as a video, but on your own time, I will say already, I don't watch many actual plays in my free time. Let's see. Oh wait, supposedly they changed the abbreviation of dissecting 20 to Dise20 because Dis20 sounds like you're dissing. That is true. that is not a bad point. I'm down with Dise20. That's fine. Or Dicey. Dicey 20, sure. That's fair. Dicey also looks like dice. It does. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, okay, so there are 4 supplemental videos about episodes 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, 17. Wait, there are 4 supplemental videos about episodes 9, 10. Okay, I'm not understanding this formatting that were filmed after the recording of the season. They aren't required, but give some context about behind the scenes stuff. They are light spoilers, but not too egregious. If you're interested, they're called Dimension 20 Extra Credit and are listed in backwards order in the playlist on YouTube. I'm not sure about their order on Dropout though. What is the? I'm assuming that is like a way to talk about dissecting or dimension. I just said dissecting Dimension 20 episodes. What does that formatting mean? Also, I'm looking up to see if Extra Credit is on YouTube or if it's only on Dropout. I don't know that it's on YouTube anymore, at least anymore. Because I'm looking at it. I got recapping here, which is a long video, and it has like the big Extra Credit thing. But I don't know, and I'm trying to kind of not read too many of the titles too closely, just in case. Okay, maybe they are all on here.
Fantasy High.
Wait, let me just see if there's like a playlist in this description. Let's see. That's the podcast. Oh God, that's just a big podcast. I don't know if they're in their own playlist. Wait, let's see. Aha!
Fantasy.
Okay, it's these. Okay, so it's just like it's with each of the or maybe not. I don't know who Rick is or Michael. But see Siobhan, Lou, Allie, Zach, more Lou, and then Emily and Murph. Wait, I was about to say no Zach, but there is Zach. What am I talking about? Anyways, I'll look into it. One video is episodes 9 to 10. One is 11 to 12. Oh, they are. I see. So each of the 4 episodes are about different core episodes. I didn't think Fantasy High was 17 episodes long. For some reason in my head, Fantasy High is like... In my head, Fantasy High is like 8 episodes.
Welcome.
Is it actually that long? Holy shit, it is. Oh my goodness. It's way longer than I thought. That's crazy. Okay, that makes more sense. First step is M. Murph and Schaubach. Schaubach? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that close. I think Rick is their minis guy. Oh, that would be so cool to listen to, like the person that makes their minis and makes all of the terrain. I am not into that sort of stuff at all. Like in terms of like my ability and my like and my skill set. I watch Ryan Immel DM sometimes, who is a big like physical props guy, and I find it fascinating. Like just like watching him paint a mini. I've never painted a mini before. That'd be super cool to listen to him. Yeah. On Dropout, they have an entire mini documentary about Rick Perry. Rick Perry? Who's Rick Perry? Is Rick Perry who I'm thinking of? No, I'm thinking of Tyler Perry. Who's Rick Perry? The Secretary of Energy? What? Dude, Dropout has some crazy shit. I love Dropout's one of like the 2 things that I pay for. I pay for Dropout and I pay for YouTube Premium. And I feel very good about both of those purchases. The minis guy. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Also, mini documentary. I thought you meant mini as in short, not mini as in... Man, I was really misreading that. I thought you meant a very short documentary about the U.S. Secretary of Energy. I was like, whoa, this is some nebula shit. That's cool, though. That's very cool. Let's see. I think while D&D is a collaboratory storytelling experience at its core, Dimension 20 leans heavily on the actor's improv background, which produces a ton of yes and moments. Yeah. And I mean, I think I don't know if what he's going to say next, but I want to put out there that like in terms of collaborative storytelling, because I agree that D&D is collaborative storytelling at its core. I think that the different tables, DMs, tones, styles are just kind of different types of stories. Different genres, different writing styles. The equivalent of like first or third person, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I see Dimension 20 and Critical Role as very cool, very separately. They're just very different. Subsequently, you'll notice a lot of instances where Matt is more rules as written, whereas Brennan is definitely a rule of cool style DM, which ties directly into the yes and thing. The more I watch of Brennan, I think I may prefer his style to Matt's, especially when you go to watch the Exu miniseries, where Brennan is DMing at the CR table. They're the perfect mix of Brennan's style, but with Matt's world building. Brennan is also absolutely terrifying when he's narrating a serious moment. He's got serious acting chops. I know that. I've watched a lot of. I watch Brennan. I watch a lot of Dropout, I should say. So I've seen a lot of Brennan. And I mean, I definitely think that there is, excuse me, there's definitely something to be said for more like, raw interpretation versus rye, rules as intended versus, just throw rules as written and rules as intended out and just go with rule of cool. There's a mix that every DM is going to adopt. I am also very curious to see Exu and compare it to something like Fantasy High. Because my opinion has always been, and my opinion hasn't really changed through watching it, is that a lot of what Dimension 20 is in terms of how the choices that the players make and the choices that Brennan makes, a lot of that is really heavily dictated, or not heavily dictated, I shouldn't say, but heavily influenced by the the short series aspect of it all, right? The aspect of like there is like a predefined arc that we want to fit into probably, I don't know what, they decided on the production end, but probably like less than 20 episodes. They have all of these physical props that they like put a shitload of, man hours and labor into that they have to use. And I've never thought, but I always thought that the allegations of Dimension 20 or Critical Role being scripted were stupid. Before I watched either of them, I truly did not believe that was happening or was possible. And especially after watching them, I really don't think so. But Dimension 20, I think, is much more influenced when, we talk about yes and moments. I think it's a lot more influenced by the idea that everyone involved knows that there is a goal that they are going towards. As opposed to maybe like a home table, especially like a really low prep home table where, the players might say like, oh, we're really interested in learning how to fish this session, or we want to just walk east. And the DM's like, fuck, I did not have anything planned for east. Those sorts of moments don't really happen in Dimension 20. Again, not because it's scripted, but just because the players know what they're all there to do, right? They know that like Brennan has a story that they like need to accomplish, and that there are sets that need to be used, and so they are, I think, very just naturally less inclined towards, flights of fancy or like weird tangents that don't that don't progress the primary story. And on Brennan's end, he sort of needs to be more rule of cool. Like, I'm sure that Brennan is naturally rule of cool. I think this isn't like he's changing up his core style for Dimension 20. I'm sure that part of the reason he was chosen for this is because of his style. But I think that you have to be sort of flexible in order to mold and direct your players. I think the more rules as written you go, the more capable your players are of totally inadvertently, totally accidentally, diverting the story completely. The more rules is written, the more you open yourself up to that. And for Matt, that totally works because Critical Role is this hyper long form series that it doesn't really matter if the players go totally off the beaten path for 10 sessions, a la the fucking Feywild arc. that was a cool arc, but holy shit, was it weird in context, in my opinion. I liked every individual part of it, but thinking about it in the context of like the larger plot was very strange. So yeah, I think there's probably an aspect of their specific formats influence their play, but also their play lends itself towards the formats that they're participating in, you know? The idea that you could script some of Emily's chaos is laughable. Yeah, I just so don't. I especially after having watched both of them, I just can't see it. I just can't see it. Speaking of Brandon being serious in D20, I'd love them to do Esth, like a Crown of Candy again, even if the cast is not the Intrepid Heroes. Ravening War kinda counts, but I want the campaign to have more episodes to breathe, just like the original, I'm assuming, Call of Cthulhu? Oh, Crown of Candy had. Yeah. I mean, I can, I will salute to that and assume that your opinion is good. Something. That makes sense. To do something like Crown of Candy. I see. I will say the same thing about Brennan, as I often say about Matt. He's a great DM, take nothing from him, but at least half the magic comes from his players. Oh my god, dude. I don't know how much of it did or did not get cut out. I think I recommended that Eden actually cut most of it. So it's probably only in the members only cut. Here, let me see if I can find it. There's a bit in the, and I think it did get cut down to the members only, so I'll show it here. Where I talk about Emily Axford. Emily Axford, the absolute legend of a player. Let's see. It's right around the beginning of the car chase. Like I remember where it is. It's after she sleeps all of them. So let's see. Oh no, there's no chapters. Oh no. Let's see. No, this is all the Crystal Palimpsest. She definitely hasn't slept any of them yet. It's when he pulls out this little clear plastic little doohickey. So I'll be able to like very visually identify it. I wish that I think that YouTube doesn't auto transcribe for like an hour afterward. Is this? Oh, yep, this is it right here. I can tell.
And I cast sleep.
I cast sleep. Yep. Right here.
Oh my god!
All of this.
This is a 20-foot radius, yes?
Yeah, 20-foot radius.
I've heard Emily Axford say before that when she is thinking about how to play, she reads her spells and she thinks about what would be cool or what is something that I can do with this that would be cool in an action movie. And I'll let me talk for a second about this, but I'll cut myself off. We won't watch the whole bit. I don't want this just be us watching me. That'd be weird. But I make a point that I want to elaborate on. And I will give some credit to Brennan. I think he puts her in situations. Like this is a very action movie type of sequence. So I think that there is something to be said for he puts her in situations to where that is more available. But to give like most of the credit to Emily Axford, I think that this is something that is so cool, so inventive, and really, you know, I'm not someone that is like super hard on PCs really knowing their spells. That said, I think for any PC, if you want to get better at playing, if you want to be more like the players that you see on Fantasy High, Dimension 20 broadly, Critical. Yeah, you should. Man, I'm getting impatient with my own explanation. No, but that's just because I've already heard it. But it's read your spells, know your features. And that is something that I will say about, you know, not all of the players on Critical Role, not all the players on Dimension 20 know their features in like, you know, a ton of detail. And again, I'm not someone, typically at least, that is like hyper critical on that. I'm not someone that is like, you need to know your spells to even sit down at my goddamn table. I don't know. Like, people are busy. Some people care more or less about the hobby than others. Like, you know, no shame. But if you are a player that really wants to level up your play, like you say to yourself, I want to be a better player, I want to put in actual like work into being a better player, I think the easiest and most like bang for your buck thing that you can do is knowing all of your features inside and out. And more specifically, thinking about them ahead of time. Like looking at a particular feature, and then like watching an actual play, like have your character in front of you, watch an actual play and say like, oh man, what of my features would I use right now? Like what would be the coolest feature to use in this particular circumstance in this actual play? And just like that exercise is going to make you a better player. Because Emily Axford is only able to do all of that stuff because she knows her shit inside and out. It's not just because she's, chaotic. It's not just because she's funny. Like, she is able to wield that chaos in an interesting way because she knows her shit. Later on in the episode, actually, we see Allie. They describe Kristen Appleby's like spinning their staff to like helicopter onto a onto a motorcycle, and I think Brennan handles it really well, but ultimately like they can't do that. Or like Brennan tries to like redirect the creative energy there. He doesn't need to do that for Emily Axford. Emily Axford knowing her shit makes it so much easier for Brennan to say yes. Vastly, vastly easier for him to say yes to someone who knows their stuff and is maybe using it in like a slightly atypical way, but like largely is using it as written. It's so much easier for even, again, a rule of cool type of DM to say yes to that. So yeah, I fully agree. I think the players are a big part of the puzzle when it comes to both Dimension 20 and Critical Role. Yeah. And I would strongly think that both of them would wholeheartedly agree with me. Probably, yeah. I simply have to inform you that when I first saw a reaction clip of yours on TikTok, I screamed with joy because I've been dying for someone to do analysis of D20 ever since I started watching them back in 2019. Cool! Good. Dude, the Fantasy High clips have been doing really well on TikTok, strangely. I was off TikTok for so long, and then I kind of came back with some of these clips. I shouldn't say strangely. I don't know why I say strangely. I'm fucking loving Dissecting 20. I'm glad that I'm doing it pre-recorded because it's very interesting. There's enough like downtime in Critical Role that I get like small periods of rest, Dimension 20 is jam-packed. Because I debated at first, it's like, oh, am I going to keep this pre-recorded? Am I going to take it live? I'm really excited to have this live sort of segment, like adjacent to it. But man, oh man, is recording it a lot. It's very, like I said, it's very jam-packed. But I'm glad. I'm glad that you're enjoying the analysis. I love doing this sort of stuff. I like thinking about the entertainment that I watch. Whether that is like thinking about the fun storytelling possibilities or thinking about it more critically. I like both. Yeah. Emily Axford was sent from hell to kill me. Yeah. And that's part of the charm, is true. Just want to shout out my appreciation. Thanks, WH. I appreciate it. I aspire to be as good of a player as Emily. I think that is a valid, very valid aspiration. She's fucking great. She is so she's so inventive, And that is really like the core of it. It's like the people that get this is like a weird is it that weird of a comparison? Maybe not. But like the people that are really good at math and have like a lot of fun with math and like really like those like weird and crazy like Sudoku puzzles and like a lot of like really studied mathematicians will do like weird math competitions with each other for these strange proofs. And I bring that up as a sort of parallel example of it is sometimes a lot easier to have fun with something when you know it inside and out. You know what I'm saying? When you know the exact like bounds of the space that you're working in, it is so much easier to be creative and to be inventive and to like have a lot of fun with that. You really rarely see in something like a video game the most, creative speed running strategies. They're not coming from people that don't know the game very well. You know what I'm saying? Like to come up with like a new creative skip in Mario 64 speed running, you have to know Mario 64 really well. You have to know exactly how Mario moves. You have to like really understand his movement, his place within the world, like aggro ranges on enemies. All of that knowledge helps you be so much more creative. And I think that Emily's a really great example of that. Yeah. Too bad for Allie that sometimes redirecting isn't enough. Looking forward to you getting to sophomore year. Hell yeah. No, and I agree. Yeah, sometimes, redirecting is not enough, unfortunately. But I think Brennan handled it well, and like Allie handled it well as a new player. And my understanding is that they had not played any TTRPGs before this. And they're doing a great job, especially with it being like a filmed actual play with a lot more like pressure on that. I think they're doing a really good job performing it. But it's a good kind of, paired example with Allie's, I don't want to say attempted creativity, but like Allie's creativity, which I think made like in fiction sort of diegetic sense when you're just thinking about what a fantasy hero might be able to do. I think Allie's like creative direction made logical sense. But Emily just knows the system and the rules so much better. So it's much, much easier for her to get a like validly creative thing, unfortunately. On your point of mastery in video games, it's also amazing to see amazing gamers overcome scenarios that you think is a no-win. Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. And no-win scenarios are not overcome by people that don't know the system very well, Yeah, I agree. Allie is also a last-minute replacement to Reika. Oh, interesting. I mean, I'm sure that Reika is on a later Dimension 20. That's, one of the strengths, I think, of Dimension 20's format of doing these kind of shorter series is that they can get other cast members in there. That's very interesting. So then they would have had even less time to like to prepare. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. For the longest time, one of the best like mega running jokes in D20 was how Allie had only played D&D on camera. And the way they take big swings, you'd assume they played a lot longer. It's A+. Yeah, meta running jokes. Gotcha. Yeah, I am very like, and that's why I, caveated it in the video, and why I caveat all of this with it's like, if you are actively trying to improve as a player, you should know your stuff. Like that's a good place to start. If you're not necessarily trying to like improve as a player, or if you're focusing on other parts of your play, like your performance, your resiliency to failure or disappointment, or there's so many aspects of playing that you can focus on. The rules do not have to be part of it. And I love that Allie's taking big swings. That's sick. I really, really like it. Their death scene, or I guess Kristen's death scene, was one of my favorite moments of the campaign so far. Yeah. Reza is in side quest, in the world of Spire. She plays in one campaign as well, but even saying the campaign name might be a spoiler for our fan. Interesting. Wait. Okay, feel free to confirm or deny this. Is Spire like a connected world? My assumption up until right now was that Dimension 20 was relatively was like not all in the same like cohesive setting. I assumed it was like, bespoke setting per campaign. And again, feel free to confirm or deny. I'm fully open to confirm or deny. Is Spire like the overarching thing? Aside from FH, they have 2 side quest campaigns. Multiple campaigns have been in Spire. Spire is like Brennan's baby in fantasy worlds. Okay. So it's not necessarily like all of them are in Spire. Like, all of Critical Role is in Exandria. But it's just like Spire is a connecting thread on several of them. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Because I've been taking notes on a lot of the Fantasy High stuff, but I wasn't sure how much I should like build out my note set. Because right now I'm just kind of taking notes on like a per episode basis. But for like Critical Role, I have an entire like wiki like notes repository. Because, I'm taking notes on the campaign, but broadly I'm taking notes on Exandria. So that's very interesting to note that if I take notes on Spire, it might come back outside of Fantasy High. Because I haven't been focusing on it too much because I was under the impression that Spire was kind of going to be relevant to Fantasy High, maybe Fantasy High sophomore year. Or not maybe. Probably Fantasy High sophomore year. And then nothing else. Yeah. Spire is just Bren's Exandria in the way that he likes to come back in and expand the lore and world building. Interesting. Okay. Cool. That's very, very good to know. Oh, okay. This is something that I said in episode 1 that I thought was very interesting and that I didn't really have time to address in episode 2. Because in episode 1, I made the comment that Brennan's NPCs don't... I think I said something to the effect of, like, they don't talk like real people or something like that. And Ninetails said, Brennan's NPCs are often very like real people. I've absolutely known women like Kristen Appleby's mother, and they do say things like, well, I'm just not smart enough to argue with you, especially when they're trying to shut down or derail a family member that's guilting them. It may be a specifically very evangelical USA sort of thing, since, like Kristen's family, most folks I know are like them are, well, very much like them. I grew up in Texas. They may be a bit exaggerated, but they are generally based in real-life personalities, which is fair. And I should have given a more sort of, how do I say it? Explicit caveat when I said that of like, I have not heard people talk like this. I can very much understand that, like, and I very much agree that they are based in the like reality of how people talk. But the words seemed very hyperbolic to me. But the words, I mean, to other people, they might strike way more home. Because like I grew up in a, I wouldn't say evangelical, but very religious sort of community and upbringing. And they just would have never been so direct. And that was the part that I thought was maybe the hyperbolic or the like people don't talk like that sort of thing, was just like how direct it was. But maybe that's fucking Kansan politeness. I don't know. So I very much acknowledge that the people that or the NPCs that I thought were very, hyperbolic, people don't talk like that, what have you, I'm very open to the idea that people do talk like that, and I just haven't been around them. Yeah. Going back, the Spire side quests are after sophomore year, so no need to be too serious about expanded noting yet. Gotcha. There are things that are purposely retconned later, so the experience of each campaign doesn't need to be in sequence that much. Gotcha. Okay. Good to know. Most of... Ooh, what's this? Are we going to run ads? You know what? I'll say no, but I will talk really quickly about the sponsor of today's stream, and you'll see them later in the episode. World Anvil! Hooray! World Anvil! Woo! This is my current Unified Dimension 20 theory. You can see all of the worlds that I have, and I will switch over to the Unified Critical Role theory, just to kind of show some stuff off while I talk. But World Anvil, it's great. I actually just asked the person that is my contact for the sponsorship how long I've been a paying guild member, and they said since 2020. So I have been signed up for and paying for World Anvil for 5 years at this point. Long before I I got sponsored, long before I started doing content. And I love it. It is a mixture of like it provides essentially like a web hosting service, a la something like Squarespace. I currently use it for my website, like my creator website. I use World Anvil. This allows me to take notes on stream really easily. And if you know me at all, you know I love maps. And so I'm just going to show off. Actually, I'm gonna pull up a better map. But I'm gonna pull it up off screen because it's in a private world. I love their maps feature. I haven't talked about it a whole lot yet in the sponsored segments, but the ability to build a detailed, interactive map is not something I have gotten anywhere else. And it's not quite as, you might say like flexible as something like a whiteboarding software, right? It's not going to be as like brainstormy, I might say, as something like that. But once you have brainstormed it and you have an idea of what you want the map to look like and how you want it to function, or if you already have like existing art. Oh wait, why do I have the Twitch stream up? Also, why am I offline? Oh, I'm not offline. Okay, I don't know what Twitch is. What's happening with Twitch? Let's see, the Salt Marsh, the village of Salt Marsh. There we go. So this is in my personal campaign that I'm running right now with private players. And this is their Salt Marsh map. And they have tons of pins that they can click on. Some of them just give a description if, like the Shark Fin Bridge really isn't important enough to warrant its own article, so it just has a description. Others link out to specific articles, like the Oland House, or let me see, the Barracks in Jail. And they link out to these other articles. And right now I'm in editing view, so it opens up the article in editing view, which is very nice. But if I go to view it in world, like I might, as a player, if I click on one of these, it is immediately going to open up a preview of it next to it. And then you can read the full article here. So, I mean, as someone who really likes that visual organization aspect, I absolutely love World Anvil's interactive maps. They also let you put like lines. So I don't know if you noticed on the overall line, I have a map marker for this river that is just this long blue line, the Dunwater River. You can also have entire regions. You can have different like layers. So like this map only has a base layer. But back in Village of Saltmarsh, I have a PC marker group separately from a DM marker group. So the DM marker group has all of the numbers that reference back to the actual portions of the Ghosts of Saltmarsh module so that I can go back and like look at that if I ever need to reference it. And that is all totally hidden from the players. It's great, man. It's great. I don't. Yeah, that's it. I will leave it there because I don't want to rant too much during the ad segment. I need to save something for the next ad. But like I said, thank you to World Anvil. I truly do. I mean, I'm in there every day at this point, especially for the Unified Critical Role Theory. I'm in there every day. And I just want to say thank you. Oh, and also code Megaphone. I almost forgot the most important part. Code Megaphone for 51% off any yearly subscription to World Anvil. And if you already have a subscription to World Anvil, you can email World Anvil at contact@worldanvil.com, and they can get my code applied to an existing account for, again, 51% off. So it helps me out when you use my code, lets them know that I sent you, and hopefully keeps them sponsoring the channel. Because right now their sponsorship very much helps financially. So thank you again to World Anvil. And that's it. Yeah. Oh, bird. What? And I think, actually, with that, let's take a really short break. Mostly because the dog is continuing to paw at me, and I was wondering if she had to go out before. So I'm going to take a really short break. Going to take the dog out, and then I will be right back. And we'll continue talking about comments. We are only through episode 1. Oh, my God. I might have to go faster after this. But I'll see you in a second. What's up? Hello. Boo. Let's see. But yeah, all right, let's get back to it. Having grown up with the Bible Belt, I agree with the commenter that the strategy of faux humble deflection is frustratingly common. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Sorry, I can't help it. Is Non-Australia based on Australia? Oh, I hope it is too, Daniel. I would non-Australia. I cannot say all that definitively what it's based on. That was basically one of my buddy's worlds that he wanted me to help. Like he was basically like, this is my first time in World Anvil. Can you like show me some of the ropes? And it was easier to add me as an author on it. So no, I honestly don't know what non-Australia is based on. It was a very like Monster Hunter coded setting. So it probably was inspired by Australia in terms of like dangerous beasties. But I cannot personally say. I want to check out your website. You should. The map thing is quite cool. Yeah. I think Campfire does maps too. I'm not sure. Did you upload this map as a png.jpg/jpeg? Yes. So you just upload it as a PNG or JPEG. You can like set the zoom size. Maybe I'll do another one detailed. But yeah. Do you get a discount for your own account? Well, I probably could. I haven't emailed them about it, but I probably could. Have I tried the novel writing software? I will probably talk about that in a future ad. I've tried it out briefly. I have not tried it out in depth. I think, and I also will say, I'm not an experienced novel writer, so I don't feel as confident stating like what a good or bad novel writing software has. But I can say that it does integrate a lot of the other features of World Anvil really well. So it allows you to like embed things like entire articles, maps, timelines. So it's very integrated with the rest of the software. So if you're already using it for a world, writing a novel in the world, I would assume would be good, but I can't speak to it as like a strictly as a software, I didn't even know Anvil does that. Yeah. Like I said, it's not hard for me to be I've said it before. It's not hard for me to be sponsored by World Anvil. I think it's sick. I love it. But anyways, let's see. Is this the? Oh, this is the same one, I think. Oh yeah. Whatever. Looking forward to the series. Meta-wise, filmed across 2 to 3 days total. And I did. This is something that I forget often, but do try to keep in mind. Is when a given episode ends is more for the viewer than the players. I try to keep that in mind because sometimes I comment on like when Matt begins or ends an episode, but that's less relevant for Dimension 20. And this is something that I really tried to. I knew it going in, and I was worried that it would be confusing for me because I think that Fantasy High is before they like fully publicly came out, so they so like the rest of the cast just like doesn't use pronouns a lot, but Kristen has she her pronouns. That's not to like excuse any of it. It's just to say I very much know and very much am actively trying to use they them. I just sometimes get a little tripped up. But if you ever hear me misgender Allie, it is a pure and complete accident. I am not meaning to. I'm really trying to use they them. And that's not like I don't feel attacked by this person, to be clear. I'm not like trying to be on the defensive. I just want to make it really clear where I stand. I don't want anyone to think that this is like a fucking dog whistle of me like, making a mistake. It's very much a pure mistake. I want to use the pronouns that Allie wants to use. Yeah. See you later, Sarah. Have a good one. It's extremely easy to do since you're constantly hearing everyone else at the table unknowingly misgendering them as well. Yeah. Which, like, again, it's... Yeah. it is what it is. It'll be something that is a lot easier later on. But it's the what do you call it? Not the challenge, but just like the quality of watching things from the past. What up, General Yuri? This is great. Really like the editing. This is editing feedback, which is great. And I will also say, we tried to make a lot of changes to the format in following episodes. In every episode, we've been trying to massage and improve the format to try and balance what I generally think of as like the three pillars of formerly just Critical Eyes, but now Critical Eyes and Dissecting 20, which is like the reactions, the analysis, and the theorizing. And I'm trying to balance those things as much as I can, because I know that, as Colin Smith noted, just a matter of personal preference. There's, certain people are going to be interested in different things. Yeah. Loved it. Loved the reaction. Fantasy High. I know, I have Dropout, but I just haven't been able to sit down and watch this one in particular, so I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Hell yeah. Which I will say, I really do not think that you should watch my show if you have not seen Fantasy High. Like, I think that my show would be fun to watch, like, alongside, like watch episode 1 on your own and then watch my episode 1. I think that could be really fun. Especially because then you can kind of participate in the theorizing a little bit. But I really don't think, if you haven't seen Fantasy High, that my videos will make a lot of sense. I definitely see them as like a companion piece. Yeah. Episode 2. The tables need to get interacted with. The tables did get interacted with. I forgot that this is episode 2. I got episode 2'd. I always kind of thought the fight design for the earlier episodes of D20 were frustrating for one reason or another. The corn battle especially was always extremely frustrating because I thought the map just wasn't well set up. I would probably have set the tables up in a more offset pattern so that it wasn't just 3 big rows of obstacles. Yep, creating cover for the casters and the ranged people. Josie is very on my wavelength. And it's really tough. It's tough because I think that like the theoretical adversary choices were really interesting, but spawners are just naturally risky. And the tables and like the map setup in general definitely seemed to encourage things. But I think like the how exactly do I say it? It was all things that a level 1 party is not necessarily super built to take advantage of. Like, I think if you run that exact same combat, but like pump the monsters up so that they're, relatively equal power, and you run that with like a level 5 party, I think it goes way better. I think a level 5 party is so much more able to utilize the way that map was set up. As opposed to a level 1 party. And I think that broadly, the like enemy configurations, the minions constantly spawning, all of that is much more handleable. Once you have, once the fighter has multi-attack. Once the casters are getting some powerful AoE spells, which they have that to an extent. But a level 5 fighter can survive for a turn or two surrounded by 3 cuties. Even if, again, the cuties are pumped up to be, like proportionally with the fighter. A level 1 fighter just can't. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's this. I think the combat was very interesting, but I would have found it frustrating, especially at level 1. I think there's a little bit more zhuzhing there. And I know that Brennan is a very experienced DM, and honestly, I can tell based on a lot of the choices, but just not as experienced in 5e specifically, which has a lot of weirdisms, especially when it comes to things like CR. Yeah. Love throwing a castle full of animated armors at a level 1 party. Yeah. Animated armors. Maybe we'll toss in a shadow or an intellect devourer. You know, just the classic things. What? They're the CR equals. The CR comes out fine. This commentary was inefficient. Let's see. I think we are running a little bit. I don't even want to say behind, but I'm a little bit slow, so I might try skipping through some of these. I am so curious about Worlds Beyond Number. I've heard so many good things about Worlds Beyond Number, totally separately. I had no idea that Brennan had run any manner of actual play in Worlds Beyond Number. If I understand right, his mom wrote some of Worlds Beyond Number, or was an author on it. Crazy, didn't know that. So I'm incredibly interested in Worlds Beyond Number. Just as a system, you know. Oh, also I downvoted this one. It's easily explainable how we had deaths at level 1, considering they were jumping on tables for the entire encounter. I said it during the episode. I think I said it at the beginning of episode 3. I think no matter what table tone you are going for in modern 5e, I think there is basically no situation in which 2 PCs die. Even if you're going for a crazy meat grinder sort of campaign, I guess maybe. I think that's maybe the only one that I can see it for, is you are purposely going for a meat grinder. You tell everyone to bring 3 characters to session 1. That sort of campaign, that can kill 2 players in the first combat encounter. Sure. But anything that's not telling you, any table, I think, that's not telling you to bring extra characters, and is cool with you just slotting them in, I think there is, at the first encounter, no matter how much you talk about it session 0, your players just they don't have a good grasp on your tone yet. You can talk about deadliness all you want, but until they experience it, they are not going to fully understand the level to which you are being deadly and the level to which you are, designing these encounters. So again, unless you're telling them to bring extra characters, I really can't see an excuse for 2 characters dying in the first encounter. Now, that said, I said it at the beginning of episode 3. I don't blame Brennan. It's a weird situation that led to those deaths. That is that. I do not blame the tables. I don't blame the tables. I don't blame the players at all. Random wraiths, more wraiths. No, that's Starstruck. Oh, okay, the one that his mom is a writer on. Interesting. Worlds Beyond Number is a collab between Bren, Lou, Erica, and Abria. Oh, is Worlds Beyond Number not a TTRPG? Worlds Beyond Number. I thought Worlds Beyond Number was it's an independent creator-owned podcast. What am I thinking of? I could have sworn that Worlds Beyond Number... What system do they play in Worlds Beyond Number? Is it not... Isn't there Stars Beyond Number? Stars Without Number is a sci-fi RPG set in the year 3200. Is that what they're playing? Is Stars Without Number? I thought Worlds Beyond Number was a TTRPG. Oh my gosh, I'm so lost. Oh man. Weird. I know his mom is a pretty prolific author, but I didn't know she helped with that. I know she helped with something, but I don't remember what it was. Brennan's first campaign on Worlds Beyond Number is The Wizard, the Witch, and the Wild One, which is inspired by Ghibli. Oh, interesting. That's fun. That was very, very fun. They do not understand. They don't comprehend the film being destroyed on the first dice roll. Look, I've kind of been interested in running like a hyper death campaign at some point. But honestly, my kind of problem with this, I don't think D&D is very good for it. I would want to run it in something more like, more like hyper violent, or something where like the PCs are slowly decaying over the course of play. Something like Morkborg, or I just interviewed a creator about Memento Mori, in which like your character's dying the whole time. Like the more you play the game, essentially your maximum health decreases as your as your power increases. So you get closer and closer to death. I think I would want to run like a hyper death campaign in something like that, as opposed to something like D&D. I can still see it being fun in D&D, but I think there are a lot of systems out there that are possibly more not feasible, but more suited towards that style. For Worlds, it's 5e with Homebrew class the Witch. Interesting. Worlds without number, yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that. There's a D20 campaign called Starstruck Odyssey that's a spiritual successor to the Starstruck comics. Interesting. Yeah, I had no idea. I must have seen like a short or something where I knew that his mom had written something that they were involving in a TTRPG. But I had no idea what the actual like details of it were. Interesting. Brandon's middle name is his mom's maiden name, and he demands to use it out of respect for her. She's a really well-known author. That's so cool. We are dying the whole time, Mega, every day. That's true. We're all inching slowly closer to the inevitable void. And I love thinking about it. So great. Let's see. I think especially the combat diagram. Oh yeah, the combat diagram. I want to show. I need to how do I say it? I need to like make it a little bit more I need to remember that I'm pre-recording and that it's going to get edited. So when I start talking about things, I need to sort of do a recap. But this is how that map like ultimately turned up. It looks like a bug. But yeah, I love my little maps. I love them. I mean, you just heard my World Anvil ad earlier. I love breaking down complex environments into more easily digestible maps. And I mean, I think you can really see the kind of, I don't want to say problem, but the what this map was kind of doing to them, right? Is like the adversaries were here, and they could either just run it down mid, just run it from this middle section into the adversarial section, or they could try to like flank a little bit. But the process of flanking a little bit put them in these kind of quasi-isolated positions where it was very easy for the minions to very quickly overwhelm them. Because moving throughout the flanking positions was very, very difficult. Which, theoretically, again, one of the reasons I think this map would have worked better with a higher level party is generally the players, like the player party is very diverse. It has a lot of options and a lot of tools across the different characters. And so in a higher level party, and just broadly, as you level up in D&D, you individually gain a larger variety of options. And so eventually you start outpacing the monsters in terms of the variety of options that you have in a combat. So putting something like this together, where the flanking routes are very theoretically difficult to move through, at a higher level affects the monsters more than it affects the players. Like, difficulty of movement is just more likely to inhibit the monsters than it is to inhibit the entire party. There's going to be like some exception cases within the party that can more easily move through those things. And so it's like, this, when Fabian is a little bit higher level, maybe he takes fucking expertise in acrobatics at level 4 or some shit, this suddenly becomes his playground, especially with something like multi-attack. So, it's tough for me to go like super hard negative on the design of the combat. I think it really is just tough for a level 1 party, There's this writing prompt of aliens describing humans as like crazy death breathers, like constantly burning creatures, fun stuff. Humans are space orcs. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I get it. Humans are, if you try and adopt a non like human lens and like look at us, we're very weird flesh bags. But very cool flesh bags, I think. I like my flesh bag, personally. I think it's kind of neat. Oh, yeah, this was one of the comments that sort of gave some context. This was Bren's first time running 5e combat outside of Session 0. Prior to this, he mostly ran 3.5, yeah. Which, I mean, that like I said, I think that the things that were really wrong with the combat were, in my, not necessarily completely 5e specific, but were definitely more prevalent and more impactful in 5e than other systems, or than other D&D systems. Also, I keep calling Murph Brian because I have their names written down, and I copy and paste it like between the between the episodes, and it's Brian Murphy. I keep forgetting that he goes by Murph. And I've gotten several comments about it tripping people up when I say Brian. Our flesh bags are truly weird and wondrous. We should not work this way, or this well. I agree. Humans are glorious. I was talking the other day on stream about Santa. This wraps back, I promise. We were talking about Santa Claus because I was like, I don't really fuck with the whole Santa Claus lie. Like, why do we lie to children? And someone was a chatter was saying like, oh, it's nice to let them believe in like wonder and whimsy while they can. And I was like, man, I think the world is pretty wondrous and whimsical, depending on where you look. It's also terrible and horrifying. Like, I'm not a huge optimist out here, but there's so much to be wondered by. Wondered by? Yeah, to be in wonder of within the world, and just within ourselves. I think we are truly incredible beings. And the world around us is truly wonderful and incredible. And I think there's so much that we could teach kids about the world that would be as wondrous as a fat man throwing presents down their chimney. And as adults, I think we're sometimes we get a little bit too doomer, which I think is fair. But we don't need to invent wondrous shit. There's a lot of wonderful stuff around us. Anyways, how does the challenge of this combat compare to the some of the CR ones? Yeah, and I said this, and I'll say this again for the purpose of stream. I wrote out a lengthy thing about why it's hard to compare it, but largely it's what I've been saying. It's the level. Level 1 makes that combat so much tougher. Despite the flaws, I do think this outcome of the episode was the best case scenario because I can't see a better hook to the show than Eggfort killing himself and Mr. Gibbons, which is, I'll hold my hands up. I think that's fair. You can't plan a better hook than that. I have my own theories about what the fuck is up with Eggfort, but it's a good hook. I will not lie. It's a real good hook. Yeah. Oh man. The farther into the medical field you get, the more the answer to the question becomes, we don't really know. Yeah, and that's cool. I find it very, very cool how much we still don't know. I think sometimes it feels like, you learned science in middle school or you learned science in high school or whatever, and now you feel like you know at least the broad strokes of how everything works. And I think it's very, I don't know. I have a very like explorer type mindset. And so the idea that everything is discovered is kind of cosmically sad to me. So it's always a little bit encouraging to me when I hear we don't know or I don't know. Like I really try to like bake that into my mindset of like I don't know is not only okay, but it's kind of cool for me. Because if we don't know something, it means we could know it, theoretically. And that later knowledge might help improve the world, our lives, what have you. It's the most optimistic I tend to get is in those sorts of moments. Yeah. I think this combat would be great if no/fewer cuties were present at the start of combat. I agree. I think I still would have had, some quibbles, but I think if there are no corn cuties at the start, that the combat goes a lot smoother. Yeah. I imagine as players, when shit popped off so fast, you're still reeling from the fact that two of your friends just died, the principal popping another teacher. You don't have time to start thinking about how unsatisfying your death it is that your death meant nothing because there's two dead guys and something culty going on. I think this comment is correct in that, and similar to Dungeon Dino, of like the way that Brennan spun it in terms of like creating this incredible story hook totally saved the combat. Like was masterful storytelling and frankly improved distraction, I guess. Masterful improving. You really see his improv expertise in having Eggfort do what he did. And I so wonder how much of it was or wasn't planned. Like, did the Phoenix Egg already exist? Did the mechanics of the Phoenix Egg always work like that, or was that improv in the moment? I'd be fascinated to know. And I'm really I feel like he must have answered that at some point. So it'll be really interesting to look into after I'm done with the series, because I'm also sure that it bakes in spoilers. So after the series, I'll be fascinated to hear Brennan talk about that moment, because it was so masterful, and I'm so curious as to exactly how much of it was kind of in his head before it was actually executed, and how much was on the spot. Yeah. The way you ran it was Brennan is a very experienced DM, but was newer to 5e. Yeah. One of Bren's biggest rules is to honor nat 20, so always give a lot to nat 20s, not always in battles, sometimes just standard crit rules with doubling damage, but like story roll nat 20s he'll go hard for. This is another thing I don't know, and I wouldn't know where to find it in the new episode, but I talked about it a little bit in the new episode, in episode 4, that I am much more in favor and much more like supportive of nat 20s and nat 1s having like extra, not rules as written sort of effects in skill checks as opposed to in combat. Because I do think there's a very defensible position in skill checks which is that like skill checks, rules as written, are incredibly like simple and binary, right? It is success or failure. That's it. And then there's an optional rule for degrees of success, which adds a bit of granularity to it. And there's this idea of like, critical successes or fails that adds even more granularity to it. And even taking those both into account, the skill check system is still not nearly as granular as combat. Combat is plenty granular. It has plenty of mechanical support and shit going on inside of it, that I think that like something like a critical fumble, right? Anything outside of the raw nat 20, nat 1 rules for combat, I think is unfortunately really messing with a lot of those other granular mechanics in combat. But for story-sided stuff, for skill checks are so simple that I am much more in favor of adding that additional like layer of possibility. There's this 10% chance that it goes beyond the bounds of the degrees of success, right? So it's like, if you're using degrees of success, maybe there's like 4 different options for how a single skill check could resolve. And then you have this 10% chance, or 5 and 5 on either side, that you go way outside of those 4 states. I think that's totally fine. I don't mind that at all. But I mind it a lot more in combat, because it messes with so much. And combat is one of the only places that players can die, frankly. And so like messing with the balance too much during it can have a very accidental, very negative effect. And it can sometimes have a bit of a fucky effect on the satisfaction. Anyways, Ep 3, the longest ep. Also, the one with the worst reach. We're still hanging out at 0.9%. Not good. So, if you haven't seen Ep 3, go watch it. It's good. It's just very long. So I think there's going to be less stuff here. People watching Fantasy Hour for the first time is one of my favorite things. Let's go. Was looking forward to this. Endlessly exciting. Vice Principal Golden Horde isn't casting doubts on Resurrection Method. Brennan created Egg Fort to be crazy and impossible wizard, which I agree with. During the episode, I think I used the phrase like Golden Horde. Do you hear what I hear? Golden Horde is casting aspersions on Egg Fort's method of resurrection on the Phoenix Egg. I didn't mean that in terms of Golden Horde is purposefully doing it, to be clear. I don't think that Golden Horde was purposefully casting aspersions, casting doubts on Egg Fort's method of resurrection. I just thought that the additional perspective sort of strengthened my own doubts in what could possibly be going on with Egg Fort. I'm going in blind. How did you know that Rog has a crush on Dane? I'm a dumbass then. I only noticed in the Blood Rush Brethren. I'm not gonna look at that too much. I should reply because I don't want to make it look like I'm dodging. I'm gonna say in Ep 1 because this is true. Rog comes up and what exactly does he do? He and does the whole sequence of events that results in the ball as a nickname. At some point during that, he mentions that people fucking with Dane makes him go nuts. Makes him go nuts. Yeah. That's it. that is what made me pick up on it. Watching you theorize is so cool. Yeah, I love the theorizing. The unfortunate thing about the theorizing is it's so hard to cut down. So that's one of the reasons that I want this to be more of a thing, is so that I can talk a little bit more about my theorizing without having to, have it be however long this was. What was it? An hour and 51 minutes or something like that? Yeah, hour 58. Yeah. I think the person may have thought it just in bro terms and not catching feelings, I guess. I honestly haven't even thought about it in that term or another. It just seems like he very much honestly, I hadn't even thought about the possibility that Rog might feel that sort of way about Dane. That's crazy. But I don't even necessarily, even now, I don't know. People could be fucking with me. I don't even necessarily think that Rog, or that I've seen any, sort of romantic interest, but they seem like very best friendy right now. I might have made a joke about him having a crush on accident. Let's see. Oh, I really disagree. Yay, disagreement. I really disagree with the take that you need to be ready to allow it forever, and from then on, if you allow it for forever, and from then on, if you allow it for a cool moment once. Okay. Let me just before I read the rest, let me just think about that. Because this is referring to the Friends cantrip on the flask. Which I ultimately was like, no, that's actually I don't think that needs any modification. I mean, I agree that you don't need to be ready. But I think it's useful to be ready, if that makes sense. I'm a big, sorry, not, or how do I say it? I'm a big believer in consistency as like assistance to the players. It's all to help the players know what to expect and make things go smoother during the session. It's a very similar like mindset and reason that when it comes to things like homebrew, especially homebrew like rules, like say potions as a bonus action, when it comes to homebrew rules, I am a default no, unless I see like a lot of justification for it. So like I have several homebrew rules in my games because I saw a very positive justification for it. But my default is always no. And that is purely from a perspective of the more homebrew rules we have, the more contradictions I'm introducing, and the more potential friction for the players, right? For every homebrew rule I have, it makes it harder for the players to just like crack open a PHB or crack open a DMG and look up a rule themselves. Or even if they do, they then have to, double check that against our homebrew rule sheet. And even then, potentially ask me about any potential contradictions. It just makes the whole thing have, again, more friction. And that friction, I think, is an inherently bad thing. But the magnitude of badness is a little bit wibbly wobbly. Like, I want to minimize that friction where possible. But sometimes there are benefits to whatever you're doing that outweigh the negative of the friction that it introduces. So this this, the you need to be ready to allow it forever, and from then on, if you allow it for a cool moment once, that's my baseline thought process. Is, am I ready to allow this? And if I'm not, it then just kind of receives a higher bar of scrutiny, if that makes sense. So like, if it then has to be extra cool in order to allow it for that cool moment once. And because then I have to go and have a conversation with my player, saying, hey, I allowed it for that one cool moment, but not for this one. And it puts a little bit of, again, it kind of adds some restrictions. So I like to start from a baseline of how can I deliver this to them where I will always be comfortable allowing it, because then that is just establishing this like point that the player can rely on and can hang their hat on. And ideally, it promotes even more creativity in the future because, again, they don't have to worry about whether or not I'll allow something. They don't have to worry about if it's, in the future cool enough for me to allow, what have you. So this is just like my baseline mindset. If I'm not going to allow it forever and always, then it just kind of requires more evaluation. But if I am ready to allow it forever and always, it's like a pretty instant yes. So let's read the rest of the comment now. It has happened more than once that my players ask for something rule-breaking the moment I allow it, and then if they try again, maybe to abuse it, make it clear that it's probably not going to work again. Well, I can't say it's never been a point of contention. A player tried to push it once. For the most part, people are satisfied in understanding that I'm open for their weirder ideas, even if those are not meant to become common uses. It's to their benefit ultimately. Yeah. I mean, I think that is a very fair way to look at it. I think I think my opinion might just diverge in what is ultimately more to their benefit. Like, is it more to their benefit for them to know that you will allow kind of one-time weird and wacky stuff? Or is it more to their, but not know necessarily what you will or won't allow? Or is it more to their benefit to get a really solid idea and grasp of what you will or won't allow, and potentially allowing them to be more creative in that space? You can tell just by I'm not trying to straw man their side of things. I really do think it's a valid take, but I think for me, I think that constructing a well-defined space, much like Emily Axford knowing her features really, really, really well, in a very similar way, I think that constructing a well-defined space where the players know what I will and won't allow promotes a higher degree of creativity. I think it is ultimately more to their benefit, but I do think that could be variable based on the players, based on the DM, based on the table, based on the system. So I think that's where we probably diverge. Yeah. You should be ready for your player perhaps understanding it that way, whether that means allowing it or proactively telling them it won't be every instance. Yeah. Even then, I try to minimize those kind of moments of wild magic, to an extent. Gotta go for a bit. See you later, Tyre. Yes. See you, Tyre. We'll probably leave it streaming for the views. Thank you. I do think we're probably wrapping up here soon, because I think this is actually the last comment. Yeah. So I actually think we're wrapping up here soon, but that just means that you get access to episode 4 that much sooner. Wait, I need to read the rest of it though. That said, I do agree that playing with the attributes of the spell due to them using it in an unusual way is a good idea too, and something I should employ more often. In my case, I usually ask for an appropriate test, like Arcana in this case, with a high DC as the cost. If the players ask for an in-world reason why it can't happen, I tell them that the singular moment of brilliance can't really be reached so easily, like when you have the perfect idea for a story but don't write it down, and then are never able to remember it exactly right. Yeah, I think that's fair. This seems the second half of this seems more kind of back to this. I definitely they say in their case, I totally agree with that. Yeah. Like making the spell a save or suck essentially because they're using it in this unusual or atypical way, I think is great. I think you can play around with the cost however you want, however it kind of works for your table. But yeah, attaching a test to it is very, very, very good. I do that all the time. And then I think like separately, it's like, oh yeah, if it's a cool moment once, and then they need in-world kind of not diegetic, I don't know what you would call it, but yeah, like in-world rationale for why it can't happen again. I think that is a very fair in fiction explanation that does like feel intuitively true. I just don't. I'm not sure. And again, I do think there are really distinct benefits to doing it this way. I think that the opening it up like this opens up the space of possibilities, right? So if you already have players that are maybe predisposed to being like hyper creative towards like testing your limits constantly, I think this strategy could be really good for them. This kind of ad hoc, that one's really cool. This one is a little bit more cheesy or gamey. I think for players that are already hyper creative and really testing the bounds of the system already, I think that could be a really good mindset for those sorts of players. I generally play with either newer or more, I would say, sort of strategic players. And I have found that having things be too open can be somewhat frustrating for them. Like they kind of don't know where to start. And so defining the space more rigorously kind of helps them with their creativity. Now, that said, as a caveat / negative to my way of doing it, towards the consistency aspect, is I do think it promotes a behavior that I really don't like, which is the players trying to surprise you as the DM. And I don't dislike it because they're trying to surprise me. I love being surprised. But them trying to formulate an entire plan that maybe has like, they're not so sure on some of the rulings. Them trying to formulate it all without asking you, and then they get halfway through it and they say something and you're like, that is not how that works. But they're already like halfway through their plan. That sucks. I hate those moments where I've essentially given my players the confidence to think that, they do know the space and they do understand it. And so then if they make a mistake or they're uncertain, possibly, I think in my way of doing it, they're less likely to ask. And so they might commit to a course of action that, is not going to work before they know that it's not going to work, because I have sort of not disincentivized them, but I have I sort of go by a behavior where they don't need to ask very often. So then they get used to not asking. So all that said, I think really, I think that there's a very stylistic kind of choice there, and can be very different based on your personal DMing preferences and those of your players. And I think that's about it. The only other thing that I will do is maybe slightly, or I think I would normally, at least for like the next one, probably slightly expand on my takeaway. But surprisingly, my takeaway for episode 4 was super simple. It just like, it was, damn, is Brennan really efficient and he is really, really good at moving his players through roleplay segments in a way that doesn't feel rushed. Like, between them deciding that they needed to go to the gas station to investigate the greasers, between them deciding that and actually going to the gas station, they had this big roleplay segment where they go around the school. I think Riz talks to the AV club. They go to the library. They visit Ostentatia in the nurse. There's quite a few, basically like unplanned kind of roleplay segments there. And I think that Brennan did, and we won't run ads. We'll say no to skip. But we are about to end. I think that Brennan did a really great job at moving them through those things at a good clip. It did, to me at least, it didn't feel rushed, but it also didn't feel very belabored. There were like one or two points where I was like, okay, this, they're maybe dipping their little toe into analysis paralysis territory. They're talking about this for just maybe a bit longer than they should. But Brennan would very reliably kind of move them through it, which I thought was very impressive. I thought was, especially in terms of just the balance, not just moving them through it quickly, but also not moving them through it too quickly, which is a balance that I struggle to strike. Sometimes I feel like I am accidentally moving my players a little bit too quickly through scenes like that. So I just like huge thumbs up to Brennan, and even again his management of the roleplay scenes of, I believe, and maybe I'm misremembering. I could be. I could be misremembering. I believe that when they actually go to the gas station to investigate the greasers and Johnny, I don't believe that any of the characters choose to go to the diner. I think Brennan just puts them in there, which allows them a safe place to further analyze the gas station while also promoting a level of roleplay that they might not have if they're squatting in the bushes outside of the gas station. You know what I'm saying? And even if he didn't start them in there, even him placing that on the board is a level of encouragement towards that. So there was a lot that I took away from that in terms of running things in like civilized areas, and running like especially like role play and planning segments in a way that doesn't feel, again, belabored, but is ultimately pretty quick. They might discuss a lot more than we see since it's edited. That is true. That is something to consider. Is it's tough for us to know exactly how belabored things were. That's very fair. Yeah, I got nothing to say to that. If it is what we are seeing, like, I think that would be very good. But that's fair. But I do think if they got into analysis paralysis, they probably convey that with what they choose to keep and edit. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's fair. Because I remember them debating after they talked to, I think it was Penny, the girl outside the school that was waiting for Johnny and her friend hadn't. You know what? what the fuck am I doing? I have notes. Half Elf, Golden Horde, Jace, Dusty, Riz's mom, Sklanda, my goat. Let's see. Mr. Biz Glitterdew, No, wait. That's after. Where is it? Coach goddamn Daybreak. Also, Daybreak is so evil. Daybreak's so evil, dude. Okay, I think it is Penny because it says my friend Sam is being really weird. Although, wait, no. Penny is the one that Riz is looking for. Fuck. Who is this girl? My friend Sam is being really weird. I probably have it from Penelope. Probably. I don't know. One of the cool girls. Anyways, it doesn't matter that much. But I agree with you, Daniel. I agree with you. I think if they were in analysis paralysis, they would represent that in some way in the edit, even if they cut out the more annoying parts of it. But with that, cool. I will, right after this gets over, or actually maybe right the frick now, I'm going to, I don't think I can, can I not redirect a live to a video? I must not be able to. Damn. Well, either way, I'll just post it in the chat really quick. So I'm going to publish the video right now. So as we are speaking, episode 4, the non-members only version, is going public. I'll see. Yeah, fuck it. I'll set it as an instant premiere, and I'll set it for an instant premiere at 3:00. Or actually, no. Yeah. We'll set it as a premiere. I know. I'm very, very put together, very planned. Yeah. So we'll set it as a premiere at 3, and then on this live, I will set this live to redirect over to that one. So if you want to watch it right now, you can. And if you don't wish to, then don't watch it later. I think it'll be good either way. I think episode 4 is very, very, very good. I really liked the car chase. I really liked a lot of aspects of episode 4. I thought that the car chase was honestly a more novel and like interesting concept and kind of idea for a combat than the spawner in episode 2. And I think that Brennan executed it so well. So well. Pre-show would probably motivate people to comment more, so looking forward to more interactions in the next one. Yeah, I'm very excited to see people comment more, which is a good point. If you're watching this and you want to have your particular point discussed, either join us for the pre-show. It'll be on Saturdays before the actual show is released. And if you just want to see your point discussed or potentially debated, feel free to leave it in the comments. And I think that's it. Also, thank you for the membership, Ellen. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy the members only content, the extended cut of Dissecting 20. And yeah, we will leave it there. Thank you again. I will see you all later. If you watch Critical Eyes, we're going to be back with Critical Eyes tomorrow. Normal time and place. I'm going to post the event for that in the Discord soon. And I'll see you there. All right. Goodbye.